Hello and welcome to another episode of B&T. I'm Tobias and this is Bishop. Today we are going to be revealing our top 10 movies of 2017. We put a lot of time and consideration into this. Some obviously didn't make the cut. There was a shit ton of good movies out last year. So without further ado, let's get right to it.
I am actually going to have 11 on my list because my number 10 is a two-way tie. At number 10, I have Good Time and Baby Driver. Good Time is a crime drama thriller starring Robert Pattinson. It is down, dirty, and one of the most gritty things you will ever watch in your entire life. And if you have any siblings that you really care about, watch this movie with them. Just have a good time. Baby Driver is a action heist movie that is one of the funnest movies you'll watch all year. The music is incredible. The editing is incredible. And the sound in this movie is just so fantastic. And this is probably one of the funnest movies you will ever watch, and I highly recommend it. Moving on to number 9, I have Wind River. Some of the best work you will ever see out of Jeremy Renner. A very real insight on how America treats their Native Americans. Number 8, I have Get Out. This was an incredible movie. It has a terrifying story of what it is to be a black man in modern day America. It is one of the best directed and most well-written movies of the entire year, and I am really happy this made it onto my list.
My number 10 spot is Mother, the latest entry in Darren Aronofsky's film credits. Mother was probably one of the boldest movies made last year. It is a movie about a woman and a man living in a house, and they take in 2 unexpected visitors, and chaos ensues from there. Tension builds up, and the world around our main character gets destroyed. Pretty much the movie is an allegory to God. Now, when I say that, it's not a religious movie by any means. It's actually the exact opposite of it. I was thoroughly pleased with the final product, and I love the unconventional horror aspect to it. My number 9 spot is Call Me By Your Name. It's a love story between a 17-year-old kid and the man that is hired by his father to be his assistant, and it's set in 1980s Italy. It's probably one of the best love stories I've seen in a while. That has probably been one of the best screenplays I've seen all year. Just the overall emotion and chemistry between the 2 characters, and the fact that it's gotten a lot of recognition has really made me happy because I feel like a lot of people should watch this movie. My number 8 pick is Baby Driver. I'm a huge fan of Edgar Wright. Bishop already briefly described Baby Driver, so I'm not going to. I love Alan Zellweger. He's like one of my favorite up-and-coming actors. I love the music of the film. I love the editing. Overall, this was a super fun film, and like I said, I can't wait for more from Edgar Wright. My number 7 pick was Dunkirk. Dunkirk made my list because of the cinematography alone. There's tons of other aspects that made Dunkirk phenomenal. Dunkirk overall was just this immaculate piece of art that you couldn't help but look away from. The sound mixing was amazing. The sound editing was amazing. If you like war movies but want to check out something new and exciting and a new take on, like, you know, your typical war movies, I definitely recommend Dunkirk. My number 6 pick is The Shape of Water. Guillermo del Toro broke ground with something original and exciting. It's a love story between a mute woman and a amphibious creature that she finds in the lab that she works for. And I don't want to give too much away, but if you have not seen it, I definitely recommend it. This movie is phenomenal.
My number 7 is The Shape of Water. As Tobias said, this is a beautiful movie. It's an all-around beautiful piece of art. Guillermo del Toro really made a modern classic fantasy film with this, and I highly recommend it if you're really into fantasy film. At number 6, I have 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. This is a movie that you will see some of the best performances by an entire cast that you will see all year. It has some of the most black comedy while dealing with some very dark, dramatic elements. And if you want a powerful, moving story, watch this film. At number 5, I have The Florida Project. The Florida Project is a story about the invisible homeless. This is not your typical depressing look at the housing crisis in Florida. This entire movie is told through the eyes of a child, kind of like The Little Rascals. It has a great young cast, and it is so well directed by Sean Baker. This movie was easily the most overlooked movie of the entire year, and everyone that watches this movie will absolutely fall in love with it. At number 4, I have Lady Bird. Written and directed by Greta Gerwig, she makes an instant coming-of-age classic about a girl that grows up in Sacramento, California, and she just wants to move away from Sacramento and to find culture and find some meaning in her life. It's an absolute joy of a film, and the performances are absolutely stellar.
My number 5 pick is Wind River. I had no idea what it was. We got it at the theater, and Bishop's like, hey, we need to go watch this. I just sat there in awe at this movie. Taylor Sheridan wrote a very well-constructed screenplay. Wind River was one of those movies that really sticks with you after you leave the theater. I'm not going to dive too much into it, but if you're looking for a good movie, Wind River is one of those films. It's actually on Netflix right now, so check it out. My number 4 pick is Get Out. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie because of several different things. The direction was great, the writing was great, the performances were phenomenal. Long story short, Get Out is one of those films that was released at the right time. It's become an instant classic, and it will remain to be one for years to come. My number 3 pick is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. It's about a woman that taunts her local sheriff's department for not investigating the rape and murder of her daughter. And then she starts to take matters into her own hands to get what she wants. This has some of the best character arcs I've seen this year. A phenomenally written screenplay. 3 Billboards has become a classic for me, and I urge everybody to watch this movie. If you have no idea what it is, don't even bother renting it. Just go buy it, because I guarantee you will love it. My number 2 is Lady Bird. What resonated with me is it's pretty much about somebody not feeling accepted or wanted and just wanting to branch out and be their own thing. Not wanting to conform, just being your own person and not losing your individuality. That was the main thing for Lady Bird with me, and that's why I held such high regard to it. Greta Gerwig created a fantastic piece of art with this film. I really, really loved it.
My number 3 movie was Mudbound. It's a Netflix original. It has one of the greatest ensemble casts you'll ever see. They give phenomenal performances in this movie. These characters are some of the most layered people you'll ever see on film, and you are automatically drawn in to this movie from beginning to end with its story about segregation and racism in the South after World War II. This is a movie that has gotten so overlooked, and it is on Netflix. It is possibly the most easily accessible movie that you could watch on this entire list. Please go watch Mudbound. At number 2, I have Blade Runner 2049. This is an automatic sci-fi masterpiece directed by Denis Villeneuve. It sucks you back into the world of Blade Runner. It is the most visually stunning movie you will ever lay your eyes on. It lays out a story of humanity. Is humanity limited to just humans, or can humanity live inside of machines? Really, what is it that makes you human? If you truly want a high concept film and to really just make yourself think, please watch Blade Runner 2049.
Here are some of our honorable mentions for the year before we reveal our number 1 picks. Mine were Logan, Star Wars The Last Jedi, Raw, and Coco.
And some of my honorable mentions, like Tobias, I had Raw, Logan, Coco, It Comes at Night, and John Wick Chapter 2.
My number 1 film of 2017 was Blade Runner 2049, solely because it has one of the greatest character arcs of the year. Ryan Gosling's character, Kay, is pretty much having a constant battle with himself, trying to figure out who he is. Just the overall setup of this movie was gorgeous. The visual effects were phenomenal. The writing was great. It's almost a 2-hour and 45-minute movie, and it doesn't feel like that at all when you watch it. The performances were extremely memorable. Blade Runner 2049 is a masterpiece, and I am extremely looking forward to more sci-fi from Denis Villeneuve.
My number one film of the year is Dunkirk, the war film from Christopher Nolan that is one of the greatest war films that has ever been put to screen. Even though it is a non-linear story, you can keep track of all the events that are unfolding before you. Every piece of this film is near perfection. I can say that this will go down as one of the greatest war films of all time, but also this is Christopher Nolan's best movie, and that is saying a lot.
Now we're going to talk about some of our favorite films of the year. When we did our top 10, we thought that was, personally, those were our opinions on what was the best film of the year, and now we're going to talk about what movies we actually enjoyed more. For example, Blade Runner 2049, it was my number one pick. That is not my favorite film of the year. My favorite film of 2017 was Baby Driver. And my next film was The Greatest Showman. I love musicals, and damn, that movie was awesome. I don't even have to be like professional describing it. That movie was f***ing sweet. War for the Planet of the Apes was another one. It was spooky.
Some of my personal favorites of the year are, Blade Runner 2049, Baby Driver, Logan, Coco, John Wick Chapter 2, Split, Wonder Woman, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man Homecoming. Basically, all of the superhero films that are not named Justice League, I loved. I loved all of them. And I think this year was just a really great year to go to the movies.
Thank you guys so much for watching our video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, be sure to drop them in the comment box below. If you haven't liked our page already, go ahead and do so on the page. If you want, tell us what your top 10s are. If you want to see us review a movie that we haven't reviewed, please let us know. We would be willing to do so. If you even just recommend a movie, we watch it. We have no friends, and we have a lot of time on our hands.
He's right.
Anyway, movies are dumb. I'm going to talk to you today about something serious. Every day, millions of people go without food.
Hey! You suck!